All right, there we go.
Oh yeah.
We have a lot of
All right.
troubleshooting here at S.E.E. paper.
Nah, it's all right. I mean, that's just what comes with the business, right?
It does, it does. All right, so let's get straight to the basis here. When did
Yep.
you join CCNet?
That's actually a really good question, and I'm gonna go slash res myself to go make sure I get that correctly. Well, officially, uh, well, technically, I guess I did join CCNet 2023, I think, back in January.
Uh-huh.
But that was pretty short lived. Like we made the town Camp Ironwood in South America, but then like after a bit, like we just kind of like stopped playing, and then we just gave up on it. And then it fell to ruin all that stuff. But we came back about like when the town was founded, I'm pretty sure. So around like June 18th, 2024. That's when we like me and my friend Team Tokes got back on and we started remaking the town, and then we had the eventual goals of making the nation.
What pursued you to go on to nationhood after creating the town for a second time?
Well, we we've played on a couple different servers, me and Team Tokes. We've played on multiple geopolitics servers and stuff like that. Like we used to play on that Earth, if you've known that geopolitics server,
Yeah, I've
like
heard of
with
that.
Nova
Yeah.
and Polis and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure a couple of people on CCNet have actually played on that server as well. And we had a nation back then, and with summer coming up and stuff like that, and like lack of work and lack of school and stuff like that, we just thought, oh, it'd be kind of fun just like make a little quick startup nation. And by the looks of it, like when we first joined the server, like it didn't seem as toxic as it was in the last service we played on. So we figured, oh yeah, like we could probably just run a small nation, nothing too big, no crazy things, and like we could make that work.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a less toxic server, just stay the small nation. Don't don't join any big alliances. But
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, don't worry.
nonetheless, speaking of alliances, where would you say Ironwood's world political stance is? Because a lot of people I know from cultist are looking at Ironwood because you have a few towns that used to be cultist, and I believe used to be Varuna that have joined you. Where's your stance on the South American stage, and more importantly, the world stage?
Well, we intend, at least what I've talked with, like I don't want to say I represent the interests of both my co-leaders because we all have a say in like national decisions and such. But me personally, I believe like what I've known so far, I'm pretty sure everyone's in agreement that we're trying to stay a pretty regional power and we're trying to stay in South America and we're not trying to, get too far out of
Expand
that.
out. Yeah.
And what's it called? We've always been about like just like self-determination and stuff like that. Like if a town wants to do what they want to do, then we'll let them do it and stuff like that. And when it comes to like those cultist towns that defected and the ruined towns that defected, like you know, if they feel like they will get a better experience of playtime, like being a part of our nation, then like go ahead. Like we made no attempts to like actively seek them out and try to like steal them away from the other nations. It was mostly just they contacted us like interested in joining. We tested the waters a bit, and they fit in.
Yeah, it really puts the Federation into Ironwood, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could say so.
Yeah, on that topic of sort of expansion wise, do you plan on settling out more in South America?
I mean, it really depends on the people that go on the server and stuff like that. Like it's not like we have an abundance of people to like send off and mayor towns and stuff like that. Like if you look at the nation's map, there's the town called Sigmas and stuff like that. They're in South America, and we convinced them to join our nation. They're completely unaffiliated with us and stuff like that, right? And like
Okay.
we're completely fine with that. Like we're not gonna like send a guy to Africa or something like that and be like,
Yeah,
all
you're
right,
not.
go make us a town for our nation. Or we're not gonna be like purposely sending out towns and mayors and stuff like that into like the Amazons or something like that just for the hell of it. We're just as we go along, we make our towns, we get people into the Federation, all that stuff, and then hopefully it works out.
That's very honorable. I see, like, a lot of nations try not to do that. They try and expand very rapidly and they collapse very quickly. So
Well, yeah,
yeah,
sorry,
your
you go on.
humbleness there is very admirable.
We try to be. I think the main thing is we're trying to stay practical because we've played geopolitics servers and stuff like that before, like me and my friends and stuff like that. And we know that like if you try to do like some big crazy maneuvers and stuff like that on like the world, like the national scale, the global scale, that's how you paint a target on your back. And that's really like, you know, we're human beings, like we have lives outside of Minecraft. We're not gonna like spend hours and hours and hours of like siege prep and stuff like that. Like we don't want to paint a target on our backs because, you know, we just want to, at the end of the day, we really like geopolitics and stuff like that. We love interacting with like internal politics, negotiating with people, stuff like that. And that's what we get from, that's what we enjoy out of the game. So we wouldn't want to jeopardize that by, you know, pissing hella people off and getting into sieges, and then all of a sudden, you know, everything we worked for is gone.
Yeah, a lot of other people could learn from that. Although speaking of sieges, so last week, or it might have been 2 weeks ago, you were almost, I say almost, you were technically sieged by the former nation of Imperial Lusitania. From what
Yeah,
I
that
have
did happen.
learned, yeah, from what I have learned, they bailed out on the siege. They didn't expand on it. And currently now, what are you doing to sort of boost the defense of Ironwood after that siege scare?
Well, if you did see that, so we came from, you know, dat block, right? So we were completely like expecting a different type of siege warfare. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know, like I didn't even know that if you got combat tagged, you couldn't open doors and stuff like that. Like I thought we were
Oh yeah.
safe in that sense, and I didn't know that like every block can be destroyed during a siege. So like I wasn't expecting to start shooting tanks and stuff like that and like breaching our defenses. Like I'm very used to like, okay, these walls are there, you know, we stay behind them, they can't shoot us, and then we can, you know, jump out and attack. But you know, as you might have seen in like the siege war like thing that tracks all the kills, that wasn't
Yeah.
exactly our best you know defense. But
Performance.
we've honestly, that siege, like as stressful as it could have been like for everyone that was involved, I think it was a good learning experience and stuff like that because we learned like what it really was like to fight in CCNet and stuff like that. Like it was a lot of 1.9 PvP. Like the server I used to play on was very gun heavy. Like the guns are pretty balanced here. Like they're not straight overpowered. And we realized, yeah, like I don't think this town exactly like fit for a siege. You know what I mean? Like we thought of like, oh, maybe we should just build bunkers and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, that'd be making our town ugly, and we don't really want to make it ugly. So we outsourced to make a fort. If you see on the map, we sent off one of my friends over to make Fort Ironwood, and that's a very like traditional, modern-looking fort, very like with the times with other people's forts on the server, and like that's basically what we're hoping and banking on is that like we have like a proper fort now that people on the server are very comfortable with.
Oh yeah, I
So
see
hopefully
that
that's
on
a good
the.
deterrence, and also hopefully it serves, you know, practical purposes.
I like the flag that you've added to the top of the fort.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the guy that was designing it for us, we contracted him, and we were telling him like, oh, we should make a flag up there, and he says no, it'll look ugly, but we wanted to do it anyways.
That's funny. Yeah, although highlighting back on what you said, I can definitely see how the siege on Camp Ironwood was very difficult. I use your guys'
It,
town as a trade capital, and yeah, compared to the forts that we see in CCNet, it's not very,
yeah,
yeah, combat
we
ready
were
in that.
hoping that we wouldn't have to make one of those forts because once again, I told you like
You want to
we
stay
don't really
peaceful.
want to make this like huge like time commitment out of the server. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to spend like hours like printing the fort and building the fort and stuff like that and
Yeah,
like straight off the get go. So we were hoping, oh, maybe either one, we're small enough and we didn't piss enough people off to not get sieged at all. But also we hope that like we were just good enough to be able to fight off a siege from the defenses we had, which, you know, we are learning from as we speak.
yeah. So highlighting on a different regard. So right now we're kind of talking a little bit a lot of external affairs, siege warfare. I want to focus on the internal focus of Ironwood. What's your
Of
government
course.
system like?
Uh by the most like we are a federation. We do appreciate the input of all of the towns like within our nation, but we also need to ensure like stability and order and such like that. So a lot of the decisions are made by, you know, the head honchos, which is me, Solo Duck, and Team Tokes. Uh, but the thing is, like our nation, like a lot of our town mayors and stuff like that, we know each other from past servers and stuff like that, and it's mostly just like a trust thing, you know. Like we haven't really made a need to create a system where we like instill trust because everyone's just kind of like a big group of friends that we all like, you know, we just mess around in geopolitics together. So that's what we've got going on.
Yeah, that's very good because like a lot of nations will try and instill this sort of political system very early, and that can cause collapse. Like some people may see it as a flaw, but I think that's really good to kind of have just a fully friend-based, trust-based system
Yeah, and that's the thing
develop.
about being a small nation. Like, it's nice to be a small nation because you have a very small inner circle and there's less people making decisions. There's more trust in each people as individuals. Like, I've seen in many, many geopolitics servers, people try to form like democracies in republics and stuff like that. And many of them don't really go well because one guy gets elected, likes having the power, and then everyone it just goes to crap. And like, as much as we'd like to instill like, you know, pure democracy or something like that, we know that that's a good way to just like get the nation killed and then everyone can't play and like everyone gets split off to like whatever warlord in the area takes control of them, and we don't want that.
That's very real in many essences. Although on that sort of new nation ideas, a lot of people are, especially in regards to the latest siege, a lot of people I know from cultists and I know from Floritania, northern nations, are kind of not regarding your country. They're kind of just seeing you guys as new players. They'll collapse in a week. What do you have to say to those kind of people?
I'd say bring it on. I mean, like, well, don't not bring it on as an attack us, but like if you don't think we're gonna make it, then I don't really care. Like this nation is founded on the fact that just like we want to have fun and enjoy the server and stuff like that. We're not thinking of like trying to impress everybody. Like it's common, like if you see a bunch of new guys make a new nation, I would think the same, like, oh, these guys might not last, I mean, they're just building a nation just for the hell of it. But like, you know, I think everyone's entitled to their opinion. If they think that's what's going to happen to us, they can think that. But I think that we've built a strong foundation with all of our members. I think like the leadership like of our country, I respect them and I trust them like very dearly. Like one of my our co-leaders, I've known him for like 4 years 5 years online. Like, I really trust his decision making, and I doubt that anything crazy will bring us down.
Wow, okay. So, on a similar note to that, what is your opinion on the nations around you? So let's take now. I know we kind of highlighted this. You're very more, I don't want to say isolationist, but more targeted on your having fun on the server rather than, being gross and expanding. But still on that note, how do you feel about the nations around you? How do you feel that they feel to you? Do you think that they take you seriously? And do you think that they are interested in becoming friends with your nation?
I mean, before we even made the nation, I'm pretty sure people took interest in us because like Varuna like several times tried to like pay us off and like just tell us to join the nation and like bribe us into Varuna. And I think it's mostly just out of an interest because they saw one town blip up on the radar, and then two towns, and then three towns, and then four towns, and then they start getting a little nervous. I think, I don't know, but you know I think now that we've made the nation formally and we haven't done anything crazy against our neighbors, I think I'd like to think at least that we've developed just a very mutual like indifference between our neighbors. Like we won't mess with you, you won't mess with us. Like I tried to send an alliance request to Veruna, and they said, like we'll just stay out of your affairs and you stay out of ours, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Um, as for like like I know what Ham Jam and the other cultists, they participated in the Lusitania siege. Like we were in local chat like BMing both of each other. Like it was very friendly. Like even though we were attacking each other and killing each other and stuff like that, it was still like a very like friendly, positive atmosphere. And I doubt that like there's any like beef between us and the cultists, in my opinion. Like I very much am in belief that the reason why we got siege was because we look like an easy target. Like once you, like you said before, we're a new nation. Like we maybe don't know things. We didn't even have a fort in our capital, and like Imperial Lusitania thought that we were easy money. They attacked us, and we held our ground. We didn't fold completely, at least.
Completely at least, yeah. So speaking of neighbors, your neighbor to the far south, Exodus, they were a nation that came a little bit before you. Have you spoken with these people? I
Yeah,
know.
when we made the nation, we had like a whole like festivities and festivals and stuff like that. We had like a little like platform for like the founding of the nation. We had a whole firework display. We got everyone on. Like it took hella long to find like a time that worked for everyone. And like the Exodus leader or co-leader, I think, took part. Like he was in the stands, like watching and stuff like that. Like, and also on various occasions, this is more of a regional thing, but there's this town called Esma, and they're full of pirates. Like they just love stealing movecraft vehicles and such like that. And we participate in a little, just like a little trickery and trolling to go to Esma with the Exodus leader, and like just started, messing around with these Esma guys. So I'd like to think that we've built a very friendly relationship. Um, yeah, you asked the questions. You asked the questions.
Hmm. I mean, I'm trying to think of what else to ask you on. You've answered everything very, like, fully.
I'm I try my best. I mean, there's always something to ask. I mean, like it's geopolitics. It's so deep. That's why I love the server.
Yeah. On a global level, what's now, I won't let you speak for your nation, but you specifically, what's your opinion on this whole alliance, coalition, anti-coalition, EPF? Have you gotten a grasp on what all of that is, and how do you feel about it?
I mean, I've definitely heard some things. I think it's just like the natural order of things. Honestly, like one guy wants to make friends, and then he's friends with another guy, and then eventually they just form a big old alliance, and then the same happens on the other side. Like the only thing I don't like about it is like I very like regional stuff. You know what I mean? Like the Imperial Lusitano siege, like they attacked us and we didn't get ganked by like 50 different nations in an alliance. You know what I mean? That's the one thing I liked. I think the one thing that like personally for me that's annoying about this is like in terms of geopolitics. This isn't even in terms of like the stances like of my nation like that. It's just like if a guy wanted to siege someone, there's like bound to like create some sort of like whole world war because just the way the alliances are built, where it's just like 50 nations, like not 50, but like this many nations here, this many nations here. If you
Yeah,
attack one of their guys, everyone starts fighting, and it turns like something that could just be this like really cool dispute between very small nations into this really big conflict that doesn't need to happen. And like I think it'd be very cool if just like people let people do what they wanted to do without having like huge
yeah,
disagreements
without
happen, and then
mega
like
stuff.
making things super large scale. Because like imagine like if you fought a siege and like it was just your three guys in your town versus three guys in their town. You guys didn't have like a proper mega fort or anything like that. You guys, just rode horses, shot each other, crap like that. And then at the very end, you won the siege, you lost the siege, and then that was like the end of the dispute. And then, you don't have to worry about, oh, like I have to like make my gangs deeper and stuff like that. Like, there's 20 nations that are on my back about this. I'm getting like a bunch of alliance invitation requests from these other people. Like, you know, I think it'd be nicer if there's less mega alliances, but that's just what people do, and I'm not gonna stop it. That's just how we work.
Well, if you want to stay out of the mega alliances, you've joined a great continent. Nations similar to Varuna are very similar to you and have stayed out of that whole world geopolitical thing. It's mostly local there. So yeah, you've definitely chosen a great continent to settle in that regard. In other news, time for a shameless plug-in.
Okay.
To reporting here. S.E.E. Paper is now letting subscribers in. We are giving a exclusive offer to subscribers for a small discount on port space in the port of Bermuda. We are also allowing for subscribers for boosters to become a subscriber and for small donations in game. Back to the interview after my shameless plug-in. I've noticed something key about Fort Ironwood. And this is kind of only exclusive to me, because I think I'm one of the only people outside of your nation using your trade capital. There is no
Oh wait, yeah,
specific,
yeah. You did mention that in the Discord chat.
yeah, there's no specific shop plot building. So whenever I go around on like my horse or something, I have to
Oh,
jump
you're
through
just sitting
hoops.
outside of our main building.
Yeah, I'm just sitting outside of the building and like trying to shimmy myself into the right spot. Do you think there will be any expansion on that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like I really made it because all of my other nation members were like, "Oh, yeah." Actually, to be fair, there's like a 14-day cooldown on making the trade capital, and I was supposed to make the trade capital one of our other towns, Casa del Pato, and like it's a much more nice looking town, more friendly and opening and stuff like that, and like it serves better as a trade capital. And I accidentally, while I was messing around with the command, set it to my town, and that's why we just like have like all these military barbed wire fences and stuff like that, and we just have a little shop plot at the very end of it. I mean, like we are definitely making, planning on making expansions and stuff like that, making stuff looking nicer, and like making stuff more official looking.
On that topic of building and making things more official, are there any, like you previously mentioned, Casa del Plato or whatever it's called, I forget.
Yeah.
Um, you previously mentioned stuff like that. Are you planning on making any large building projects outside of your new fort and your few new towns?
uh, I'm a huge fan of making like really big mansions and stuff like that. So I think uh, one of my friends might want to do that, and I'll gladly build it for him. A lot of our town members and stuff like that, they they don't have trouble building, but a couple of them have asked me to design stuff for them, and I'm more than happy to do that as well. Like I am a huge fan of building and such like that, so wouldn't mind doing that. So you might see some development in the towns within our nation and stuff like that. You might see like capitol buildings being built, like military bases being made, like just for aesthetics, and all sorts of stuff like that. So, you know, currently in Camp Ironwood itself, we're building a little like mountain base, like in a mountain, and it's
Yeah.
like I don't know, like very Fallout, very cool, like definitely appealing to what we want to do with the town.
All right. Are there any questions that you have for me, or do you think we're set here? Are there any questions that
Uh,
you want to answer specifically?
I don't know. I mean, like I'm more or less just curious about like what the world thinks about us and stuff like that because like being
Well,
in like the position where you're this like new nation, you don't know everyone just yet, like you're not as active like in seeing all these new people, you don't know their names and stuff like that. Like I just wonder like, oh, like I wonder like if anyone likes us, who doesn't like us, stuff like that, valuable information like that.
yeah, well, personally, after doing this interview, I can conclude that I like you. Your nation sounds great. You have a very good governmental system. I like it a lot. And on the basis of this interview, I think a lot of other people similar to me will also be seeing those sort of reviews.
I hope so. Yeah. So, what's the general like? What's it called? Like, how do you run this little interview system and stuff like that? Like, are you going to be like, are there already people listening right now? Like, or is
So
this like,
the
like recorded and then you'll post it to like the CCNet wiki or
so
whatever?
the interview system is very new. So what we have is this is a public interview. We allow anyone to come in and drop in and stuff. Although currently
Hmm.
I am recording this. If it's all right with you, I plan on posting this to obviously the current server that we're in and the
Yeah, of course.
CCNet Broadcasting News Center, which is a separate server with a lot of other nations' news people and such and leaders. So I'm probably gonna do a based off the information that you're giving me. I'm probably gonna do a paper on Ironwood. I've already done
Okay.
kind of a section on it, but I think there's a lot more new information that I'm didn't get before, so I think I'm gonna do a second special paper on you guys.
Hell yeah.
And another shameless plug-in. Anyone else who is listening after this is recorded, just suggest if you want to be interviewed, just DM me and I can set up an interview with my fellow coworker here, Revolt, who is currently
Or
with
DM
me.
me. Yee.
Revolt, who is now currently speaking.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Y'all can always DM me too. Like, I'm totally a part of this as well.
yeah. So again, if anyone wants to do an interview, we're free up here. And with that, I think we have approached minute 25, and I think that's a good time to start the interview. Do you have anything else to say?
I think that should be about it. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right, well, thank you for coming on here.
Yeah, of course. Sorry
And,
for being a little late. I was, totally lost track of time when I was washing dishes and crap like
oh,
that.
no problem, man. It happens all the time. All right,
Of
well,
course.
thank you, and tune in for our next interview at the S.E.E. paper.
Well,
All right, that was
that was definitely an interesting thing to listen